Hi friends, host Eric here. Let's talk on Friends People. Well, let's talk ENTP ISFJ. Homie, Steve-O, Stevenstein. He's like, it's not working in his head. I can understand why. I feel as though I have a perception of how people might think it wouldn't work. I'm curious if my perception of how people might think it wouldn't work matches with how people might actually think it wouldn't work. If anybody has any such perceptions, I'd like to hear them because there's plenty of good reasons to argue why it wouldn't work if you wanted to make those arguments.
I can see how an ISFJ interacts with NE. It's like they have NE in the fourth slot, but they have a warhead.
They have what?
They can't deal with it.
Oh, they can't deal with it. Well,
They don't. It causes them discomfort. Generally, from my experience.
well, that's a pretty good observation. The thing is, the NE gets constrained a lot by the relationship because she's bringing SI that I seek. I think of the two, NE seeks SI more than SI seeks NE because SI, when it's operating properly, is one of the most stable dominant function paradigms under which to operate. It's super stable because it's all about habit, familiarity, comfort. I mean, SI people get into comfort loops, and if it works for them, and they're happy and comfortable, and they sort of move through their days in a series of little tasks that they do that have become habituated as they've developed without any active TE. They have sort of developed this habit-based, SI-driven, ignoring SE, but active SE imitation of getting shit accomplished, which is instead of thinking about how to deal with the dishes properly, you just, when you walk through the kitchen and you see dishes, you just right then do some dishes. That's how SI DOMs. They're called ISFJ. She's not a judger. Kimberly is not a judger. She is a perceiver, 100%.
So maybe the TE7 slot would offset this a little bit, but maybe the SIFE might be a little bit overbearing for the ENTP if they try to plan everything out in their life.
ISFJs aren't that planny. At least Kimberly certainly isn't. She explained it to me today, and I thought it was a great sentence. I made a note of it, which is she doesn't manage her goals, she manages her time. So what that means is she tries to keep blocks of time free for something. And if nothing fills it, namely me with my NE, then they just go through their habit of the same things they always do. Like do the laundry. Well, I have to make sure the laundry's done. I hear shit like that from Kimberly. She's not planning. She's has a task, a self-attending, habit-driven imitation of TE that she goes about her day doing, and she doesn't like really these super organizationally things in the way that the ESFJ does. ESFJ is much more organized.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they're using SI as a tool function. They're using it to do stuff. Kimberly uses SI to be. Like, that feels good. But you know what? One of the great ways in which NE does complement and work with ISFJ is she laughs at my jokes. She thinks I'm hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I need that.
Yeah, it helps your third slot FE a little bit.
Well, I mean, she and I laugh
together a lot.
I mean, we have mutual hilarity that gets us rolling together a lot of times. So that's really. I had this experience the other night where I was laughing so hard I couldn't catch my breath, and we were sort of rolling back and forth on the bed, and I was just struck by, oh my God, this is childhood again. This is that experience. I haven't had this experience in 40 years or 35 years or whatever, you know? It's that total abandonment to the joy of being with your best friend in the moment that just escapes adults, because nobody's guard is down that far. Nobody's in a relationship where they're that absolutely mutually sold on each other to the attainment of complete safety and comfort.
Well, you were saying earlier that you withhold some from each other because of your FE, right?
What's that?
So you're not. You were saying that you withhold some information due to you both being FE users.
Well,
so there's not complete openness, right?
I attribute it mostly actually to the fact that her unvalued FI is particularly poorly developed or particularly underused. So she doesn't really know what she wants, and I constitutionally don't know what I want. And so there's a certain amount of, and the thing is, the things that we do want aren't actual things that we want, they're ways of perceiving that we prefer. So when we have conflict, it's because I'm making things too complicated, and she's not giving any credit to the meaning aspects of things, and she's only caring about experiences. So that's where the conflict lies. It's hard to even pin down a point of clash, because I mean, usually the clash starts with, okay, but Kimberly, I said this, and you didn't take me seriously because you didn't say blah de blah de blah, right? Or you did say blah de blah de blah, and that means this, and that hurts my feelings, or that makes me feel threatened, or that makes me whatever. So, you know, in that context, there is a fundamental point of conflict between ISFJ and ENTP, and that's what it is. It's meaning versus experience. But I also see both parties changing rapidly. Like, I'm learning to know what it means to experience things for the sake of experiencing them, and she's learning to take seriously a kind of involvement with another person that she necessarily shut off in the last long stretch of time where she was single and sort of dating here, you know, off and on dating, not having good experiences, not having anything that really sticks, and, you know, as she describes it, discovering that guys are primarily interested in trying to get their nut off, and with as little fuss and muss and commitment as possible, whereas, and that the ones who do want to commit, that they're not trustworthy. And so, you know, that's her experience in the dating world, is basically a lot of not trustworthy men, and it made her kind of skittish. It made her kind of meaning shy. You know, she heard a lot of words from people that weren't true, and from people who weren't serious. Of course, my words are true. I'm serious, and it takes a while for her to kind of trust that. And just as it takes a while for me to come to trust that her physical displays of affection are as meaningful as Eric's personalized script that he would like from her to read from. You know, Eric's a little bit crazy in that regard, but it's just because, I don't know, I'm insecure, and I need a lot of reassurance that the significant other isn't going to leave me. I don't know why I'm so phobic about that, but it's a bit of a unhealthy obsession that I want to make sure that I contractually somehow obligate them to not leave. I guess because everybody I've ever been with has left me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you've had that experience before.
And I've never left anybody. Of course, it's a little bit misleading in the sense that, you know,
Disheartened.
if you spend all day every day hammering somebody and they leave, um, you can't exactly say, "Hey, why
Hmm.
didn't you stand here and have me yell at you more?"
Yeah, your heart left before they physically left.
I mean, the thing is, that's the weird thing. I was always actually fighting for the thing in some capacity, except for maybe my first wife, who was just so bad at TI justice. She was so not guilty enough, not remorseful enough, not taking the
Hmm.
damage she'd done seriously enough, not not meowing the meow, not pewing the meow, not meowing the peow. And
Yeah.
and so I was just but I wasn't gonna leave her anyway. She was the mother of my child, so I just kept
Hmm.
explaining to her day in and day out, well, what was wrong with her. Basically, you're not TI enough, not by a long shot, Missy. Your FI approach to the world, well, that makes you entirely wrong about everything. And I need you to understand that to the core of your soul. That's what I was basically saying, but I didn't understand any of the cognitive function stuff, so I was just telling her, that's not a good enough reason for black, and that's not a good enough reason for black. But she was a
Yeah.
cheater. She was a fucking whore. That woman, I don't like to say that about anybody. That's kind of a not a cool thing to do. Just say like, oh, she's a whore. Well, first of all, I feel bad for whores. I don't want them to feel bad. And second of all, she was just stupid and young. Didn't understand anything. Didn't she
Hmm.
see? It was one of those other things where she never trusted me, really, because I was always trying to correct her. I was making her feel bad. So the worst thing you can do to an FI person is make them feel bad all the time because they conflate the person who makes them feel bad with the thing with them feeling bad. They don't actually draw the connection between their own behavior that you're critiquing them about and they're feeling bad.
Hmm.
If you want to maneuver an FI person, you have to maneuver them. You can't deal with them logically. It won't work. I've spent years trying to hammer some TI into their freaking stubborn ass fucking heads. INFPs can be stubborn, so stubborn. They're stubborn as fuck. Anyway, that's not the topic. Anybody else have any more questions about ISFJs and ENTPs and whether or not they work? Anybody have any theories about why they wouldn't work? Because I've read that other places as well. That like usually the critique is something like they're not interesting enough. ISFJs aren't interesting.
They're not interested in the things that you'd be wanting to talk about. I guess would be a way of saying that.
Well,
Like they're not going to talk about metaphysics or something with you, or debate something like that with you.
well, they're not going to debate it with me for sure.
Yeah, but
But
that's the thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
Kimberly likes to say Kimberly calls me the most interesting man in the world. She says I'm like the guy from the beer commercial. Yeah, it's not something I would normally say, but it explains something here, which is she thinks I'm interesting, which is kind of what
Hmm.
I need. I mean, I think she's interesting. I'm just, but I'm. It's I'm. It's not like anything I've ever experienced before. It just simply isn't. It's there's a completion element to it that seems predominant. It seems the most significant factor when evaluating this phenomenon. I'm experiencing, because I literally want to be around her almost all the time. Right now she's sleeping, and I don't want to go and lie down and do the freaking toss and turn. But I like to have her next to me as much as possible. When I'm more spriggity on the addiggity, when I'm spriggity on the addiggity, then I have more distance, more emotional distance, and I'm a little bit less like needy or whatever. But you know, it's interesting. What's that?
You're muted, Eric.
I did what?
There you go. Probably ruined the video a little bit, but
That's okay. But I'm a little Twitter pated. What's interesting is, you know, it's not perfect in the sense that that everything is roses and sunshine, but even the problem spots, it's like fun to. I like having problems with her. That's one of the weird things about it. I love having problems with her of any sort.
mm-hmm.
It's like we're like, hey, remember, it's just us two here. So there's nobody has to be the adult. Together we form one adult. One of us is something like, we should really do this and we should really do that. But neither of us is the policeman. She's been policed for years by her son, who's an ISTP and who's constantly busting her ass because he's TI'd on. She's a TI in the third slot, and she, you know, he fucking argues her around places. Well, obviously, as soon as I show up, at the end of that, you know, I mean, he's good too for a lay person. He's really good for an ISTP. He's really good. But the thing is, I realize he comes into those conversations. He's thought it out ahead of time, and then and he likes to direct the conversations. Once he's exhausted his points, he's set up and managed everything, and the conversation's over. And he's able to manage that because, you know, I don't want it. I'm not his enemy at all. I like it, and I want him and me to get along because obviously
Mm-hmm.
I want Kimberly to get along with Delilah. You know, there's a lot of equivalencies. Anyway, she's learning. In a lot of ways, I think she's learning to be free. She's learning to not be policed and what it feels like. And I'm learning to be other focused, not selfish. To actually prioritize. But it's not like prioritizing even, but to discover the joy of service in a way.
That was weird. Lost connection.
Yeah. I said like the 5 most important words while you were gone.
Well, yeah, I mean that's good. You're both learning from one another, and the problems you have, you enjoy.
Yeah.
Do you plan on marrying her?
Yeah, I do. We talked about timing on it, and I said that the meaning slabs will dictate, you know, when the right time is. Like, at some point I'll come across a ring that's not necessarily super expensive or anything, but that's kind of vintage or antique or something, like in a pawn shop or in a to a store or something, I also go like, that's the one. I'll buy it, and then the moment will come when I think now I should say the thing officially, because we're both in agreement it's gonna happen. But I think she'd like me to propose to her in a more formal fashion, which I will at some point.
I mean, as opposed to what?
Propose to what?
Well, I mean, as opposed to an informal fashion.
Well, I mean, I've already proposed to her. I've already tried to marry her in Kentucky. But it's harder than that.
You gotta be a little bit romantic.
You can't just bada bing, bada boom, get married like that.
Gotta schmooze a little bit.
I mean, I don't know what you gotta do. You gotta fill some papers or something. I mean, I don't care. I told Kimberly, I was like, we don't have to get state married if you don't want. We could just get married in the church. And then have everybody sit there and look at us and be like, yep, we're married, and then that's good enough for me. You know, there's a lot of beautiful churches here in Laverne. It's kind of a boutique-y kind of town, you know.
How far away is it from Temple City?
About 30 minutes, unless there's traffic, which there usually is, in which case it could be as long as an hour. Usually between 30 and 40 minutes it takes me to get here. But I'm basically here all the time now, so I just go back for moving my shit. Man, that is some weak-ass rock he's digging through.
I can't help but not look at it.
With just a single pickaxe, that rock crumbles at the slightest touch. It crumbles into hallways.
This one's got blueberries falling out of it.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a lot of blue. You got all the blue you need now. Now hit that brown stuff. Ooh. Keep digging. This is a fun game. Dig a hole is called. This game called Dig a Hole.
And then he's got his heartbeat being monitored in the bottom left.
Is that what it is? Ooh, I'm exhausted from digging this hole. From virtually digging a hole.
Make sure you don't get too excited there.
What are you doing? Mom, shut up. I'm virtually digging a hole. What are you going to do when you're done? I'm going to virtually fill it back in again.
Oh shit.
Would there be any scenarios where an INFJ would be preferable for an ENTP than an ISFJ?
So we can say arguments in favor of INFJ?
Yeah.
The strongest one would be that there's a completion that happens between NE conscious NI ignoring and NI conscious NE ignoring that completes the intuitive loop that the SI Dom ISFJ can't complete with the ENTP. And it is in fact the case that Kimberly doesn't provide a lot of intuition, but it is not the case that she doesn't provide NI. It seems that when she does provide intuition, or at least the parts that I value and notice particularly, are when she provides singular, fairly straightforward and simple enough ideas about what's a good idea and shit. And when she does provide it, it can be quite powerful because everything gets processed from me when it comes from her through TE, because I instinctually know she doesn't have any. So the INFJ, by providing NE directly in the dominant slot, is saying, because they're responsive as well, they're very much question-asky and very very poop loving, very, you know, they cater to they cater to the ENTP's metaphysical side in the way that the ISFJ caters to the ENTP's physical side. So they're gonna not just have an eye in the dominant slot, but they're going to use it by their FE frame to help you find out what your good ideas are. If you let them, if you can learn from them. The things I learned a lot from an INFJ artistically, and it didn't make me a master of NI or anything, but it made me at least aware of its validity and the fact that I needed to pay attention to its concerns. So I know that INFJ ENTP is fucking rocking the intuition spectrum there. You know, if they get the right rhythm going where ENTP starts spitting out shitloads of ideas and INFJ goes, that one, and that one. And then ENTP brings the SE in up to go, all right, well, let's SI it, or maybe INFJ loose cannon SIs it, so it's in the list of things to do. And then ENTP is going to have to bring that SE probably. And of course, ENTP is going to have to bring the TE as well. So there's the challenges. There's a little bit more of a burden on ENTP to get shit accomplished in that relationship. But you've got a doer. If you got a doer as an ENTP, it shouldn't be a problem. And if in fact the ENTP incorporates the INFJ in a way that the INFJ is comfortable with, so they're doing things in a team fashion where the INFJ doesn't feel pushed or imposed upon. Because there's the risk, is ENTP is going to be like, come on, and INFJ is going to be like, I need time to let introverted intuition shout the truth from the hilltop. So there's a bit of a challenge potentially. Also, there's the relationship subtype problem of aggressor victim subtype versus infantile. So let's say you get a victim versus an infantile, versus a victim with an infantile. So let's say you get a victim female and an infantile male. What that's going to play out as, the female keeps looking for you to come say, come here, slut, I'm dominant and I want your ass. And the infantile NTP goes, hey, do you think maybe you might be interested in me? Maybe, I'm not sure because I'm really shy or whatever. And then the INFJ goes, well, that's not aggressing upon me. Whereas the ISFJ goes, aw, let me take care of you. You are so helpless.
Personally, I don't think I have that problem.
ISFJ goes, aw, ENTP, you're so helpless. Let me take care of you. ESFJ says the same thing to INTP. And we eat it up because we're infantiles. But we don't eat up being the aggressors. Now, we might be more successful, I think, as...
you don't think a type 8 like me can be an aggressor?
Well, I'm not saying we're not dominant in the bedroom. I'm just saying we're not aggressors, which means we have a low threshold at which point fun dominance becomes I don't want to actually hurt you or degrade you, actually. I'm just having fun, you know. It's whereas I think SE doms aren't. They consider feelings in that capacity, in that area, to be there for the bruising. It's all's fair in love and war is a aggressor victim quote. Can't we all just get along as an infantile nurture quote? I think NTPs tend to see women more as individual human beings and less as women first. And then when we transition into a mode of like, all right, I want to get my nut off, then we sort of shift into one of three possible areas. Either SE, which is loose cannon and sometimes does its thing, whatever, which doesn't really care what the narrative is. NE, which can get a little weird. FE, which is like a social dominance thing, which doesn't work well in sex, but if it's paired with SE, it can be fine as a narrative generator. Or the most dangerous of all ways to access sex, FI. So I think INFJ and ENTP would probably be better off if the INFJ were the aggressor version of the aggressor victim, and the ENTP were the infantile. I think infantile can respond better to aggressor because aggressor knows what they want and makes it clear, and infantile is not necessarily going to present clear instructions because infantile doesn't know what to do. And because ENTP infantile, especially with FI polar, doesn't know what they want. So they don't know what they want, they don't know what to do, they don't know what they're supposed to do because we don't manage FI relationship development over time well, and that includes sex. And so infantile would pair better with somebody who's overly assertive than underly assertive, even though ideal would be caregiver, namely not so much assertive as nurturing. So, of course, to get into that, to access the whole nurturing thing, you kind of have to give into some FI stuff, and you can't really be out slaying the puss to get the full rewards of nurturing, which doesn't necessarily mean that everything goes great in the bedroom with ISFJ and ENTP. Kimberly and I are still getting used to each other, frankly, and it's weird, and we laugh about it a lot. I mean, we have plenty of sexual activity, but and plenty of sex. We have plenty of sex, but we just we both realize that it's kind of weird because we're coming at it from different angles. She doesn't understand that I want to talk. She said the other day, "Does there always have to be a story?" And the thing is, that's just for me. It's just like foreplay is making jokes and shit. So usually we'll be lying in bed and I'll be like, "Hello, how are you? It's me, Jorge. You're looking very sensual today.
I don't get that at all.
Would you like to go with me to Puerto Rico? I'd like to take the gringa women there to Puerto Rico. And you know, Puerto Rico's a lot like a gringa. You gotta make love to Puerto Rico too." You see, now this is not how you get people like wet. This is how you make them laugh. So, but for me, that's kind of like foreplay. Is we laugh a bit and we kind of roll around and then, you know, she doesn't understand that. That's not how she understands how sex happens, right? Because she's not been in a marriage like I was, is my most recent thing. She's been out getting preyed upon, more or less, and building fucking wicked thick defenses. So we're not entirely comfortable with each other. But that's the great thing. That's the sort of problem you like to have. Well, we'll just keep practicing. You know, that's the easy solution. You just keep practicing, and you know, practice that's kind of awkward still, or kind of well, it's still more fun than raking the leaves. So, you know, what the fuck do I care? At first I was all like, but I have to be the best lover you've ever had in history. And then I realized, oh, you're so fucking insecure, dude. I'm super insecure, so I don't know. I'm getting over it. Whatever, I don't care. It doesn't matter anymore.
Well, I mean, at some point that should be your goal, I would think.
Being secure about shit. I mean, I want us to be really happy with each other in that capacity. And I think the good thing about it is I think it's the thing that's happening between us, which is basically like you know, we don't always come, right? So it's not a problem, but it's weird because it's not an experience I have particularly, like having sex multiple times without ejaculating is not something that I've ever done before. So I don't know why it's like that, but who cares? The thing is, my point is simply this, that not everything's perfect, and dual relationships don't mean that you're in heaven in every single aspect of it all the time. It just means that you don't mind anymore. It doesn't matter. That's it. Thanks for watching Talk About Science, people.